I'm not trying to be no preacher. I am not trying to preach. I am not trying to teach. Around the age of 18 or 19, I felt God's purpose and power pressing into me to preach and teach the gospel. I'm like, whoa, you must not understand. You must not see who I am. Do you see all the women that I'm chasing after? Do you see all the lifestyle and the thuggish ways that I'm doing? Why in the world would you want me to be a preacher? You have better options. There's a guy over there. He's in a suit. He's a better living. He speaks proper. Pick that guy. There's no way that I'm not against you, but there's no way I'm going to be a preacher or a teacher for you. And ever since that day, there had been this big gorilla on my back. I'm in college. I'm in an HBCU. I'm enjoying life. I'm this big basketball guy. I have everything that the world has to offer for me, and I'm just now getting into it. And now you place this huge, gigantic gorilla on my back every single day, and all I could do is think about why you are pressing into me, why you are chasing after me, why are you seeking after me? And I can't tell any of my friends because, again, they're all thuggish, they're all smoking, they're all drinking, they're living their life. They wouldn't understand. I can't tell my parents. I'm afraid. I don't know what they would say. The closest to me is my brother, and I'm afraid of what he would even think. I can't even talk to him. I am alone. I am on an island, and you are calling me to preach and teach. And I don't have friends or family who are preachers or teachers, and you want me to do this. That's a problem. Serious problem. So every day that I'm going to classes, I am absolutely worn out because I am thinking about God every day, every class, everybody I meet. It seems like every time I was walking across campus, there were people looking at me like, oh, you're a preacher or something. I'd have random people saying this stuff to me. I was like, bro, I don't have a suit on. I don't have anything on. Why would you say that? I don't know you. Why would you just pass by and say that? It's getting scary. And I go home. I was living off campus. So I go home, and at nighttime, I'm worn out. Not just physically worn out, I'm talking about socially, spiritually worn out because of what God is calling me to do. And I'm absolutely not going to do it. And I'd fall asleep. I wasn't doing homework. I couldn't stay up. I just wanted to get out of this situation, and I didn't have anybody to talk to help me through it. And so what I decided to do, one of the girls I knew from a church that I had been going to, I called her up. I said, listen, do you have that pastor's phone number? She's like, yeah, I got it. Gave it to me. I ended up calling this guy. I don't think I had ever called this guy ever. I was like, hey, man, how do you know if you're supposed to be a preacher? And he goes through his spiel. He's like, hey, if you have a desire to help people, et cetera, you should probably be a preacher. He says, here's what we'll do, bud. We'll pray for 2 weeks, and then we'll take it from there. I was like, great, awesome. Hung up the phone, and I felt absolutely amazing. Felt absolutely wonderful because that weight, that gorilla, that monster that was on my back was lifted. For the first time in months, it was gone. I was like, wow. I was like, okay, perfect. Here's what we'll do. We'll wait the 2 weeks out like this guy said. And then I'll just go to him and say, nah, false call, nothing to it. Boom, end of story. Because I'm feeling great. The monkey's gone. And all I need is just 2 weeks and we're out of there. Okay? So the next Sunday, and this was a Wednesday, so 4 days passed. And the next Sunday, we're in church. I'm sitting at the back of the church, just sitting there by myself, actually. And this guy gets up in the pulpit, and he's like, hey, we have somebody who's been called to the ministry. I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, man, this is going to be great. Somebody's going to be called to the ministry. That's fine. Awesome. And he starts going through information. Young guy who's been coming here. I was like, wait a minute. Now, I know that this guy is not about to call my name in front of all of these people because we are supposed to be waiting for 2 weeks and praying for 2 weeks, and it's been 4 days. I know he must be talking about somebody else. He is not about to call my name. And sure enough, this guy is up there with this crowd of people in this church, and this guy says, Henry. He calls my name. Everybody in this church looks back at me like they knew where I was sitting. And I'm like, oh, snap. And so I get up to walk forward, and people, they're standing up, they're clapping and all this type of stuff. And my heart is just beating out of my chest. And I'm like, I cannot believe that this guy said that. And I cannot believe that this is actually happening. And I'm glad that he did. Because certainly I was looking for a way to get out of it. I was looking for a way to backtrack, or whatever the case may be. Should he or would he not have done it that way? Who knows how that would have turned out. But they prayed for me. All the protocol, all this type of stuff. And surprisingly, because I was so in my head, of course my parents were super supportive. All of the other guys I was hanging with, my uncles and my brother, everybody was just like, why didn't you tell us, man? That's great. That's a good thing. And that's when the battle actually began. Because that's when the enemy really started to press. Because I didn't know what it was like or what I'm supposed to do as a preacher and as a teacher and all of this stuff. All I knew is the life that I had lived for 19, 20 years. That's all I knew. And I hated the thought of being a preacher, being labeled as a nice guy, good guy, all of that type of stuff. No woman is going to want to marry a preacher, all of that was playing in my mind all the time. And I remember going to a club even after all that. It's like, man, I don't want to be a preacher. I want to kind of hide, or whatever the case may be. And I remember going to a club, and one of the girls from the church was at the club. She's like, I didn't know you come in here. I was like, oh, goodness, man. Just let me in. Just get out of the way. Let me in. And I went in, and, the club was absolutely turned up that night. It was as wild and foul as any club I had ever been to, ever. It was amazing in my mind. I was like, yes, here's what I'll do. I'll just live the life of a preacher, in the daytime, and I'll kind of be like Batman at night and just turn up, get wild, and all the stuff that I was used to and that I wanted to do. I'll do that stuff at night. And that was my mindset. And this night in the club, there was one particular girl that I really wanted that night because I wanted to get a lap dance. She had on these white leggings, and I've been kind of trying to get at her all night. And I finally caught up to her. It was late too. And I said, listen, let's go back here. Let's get the lap dance and let's have a good time. She's like, okay. I'm like, good girl. So we go to the little bar area. I sit down on a stool, and she starts gyrating a little bit. And as soon as she plops down on me, boom, dude comes through the door. Lava. What's up now? Bah, 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 bah. Shooting up. Sparks everywhere. The bartender that is behind me, she's shot. She's dead. The girl that was giving me the lap dance, she's scared. She just disappears. It's gone. And I'm trying to get away too. I'm falling. I'm on the ground. And all I can remember thinking was, man, I don't want my mom to find me here. I don't want my mom to find me dead, shot in the head here at a club. And you can still see the guy with the lava. He's just shooting up everywhere. Everybody's going crazy and all this. I find my way to get up, head for the back door, jump over a fence that seemed like it was 10 feet high, roll down a hill, smash into a car. Boom! And I can feel liquid coming out of the side of my head. It's like, oh my goodness, this guy shot me, And I also hear a guy standing over the side of me. He's like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Turns out the guy is actually peeing on the side of his car. I startled him. He's now peeing on top of my head. He's like, man, I'm sorry, man. I said, no, brother, thank you. Thank you that's pee and not blood coming out of my head. And I come to a little bit. I stagger off into just a vacant parking lot. And I said, Lord, I hear you. I hear you. And I've been preaching and teaching ever since. My life fell into place. I understood purpose. I understood gifts. I understood life. I understood the power of God. God has called you for a reason as well. I don't know what it is. I don't know what your gifts are. I don't know any of that stuff. But when I stopped running, I became trust in the Lord, trust his direction, trust his purpose for your life. For all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. And in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Amen.